Is this thing? Okay. Oh, I think I'm recording. I guess I am recording. Okay, I am recording.
Okay, never mind.
Oh, that's recorded.
Oh. God.
That's my girlfriend, life partner, not life partner, Christina. We're still trying to figure out what to put the label on exactly. So, today I planned out topics that I'm going to talk about for the podcast. And the topics today are, we'll see if we get through them. I never seem to get through them all, but school tuition for college, the high-low life, success being socially punished, and a book giveaway thing. So I guess I'll start out with the book giveaway thing, because that one's the one I really want to make sure I talk about first. It's not really a topic of conversation as much as just what I'm going to start doing. So I have a bunch of books that I read. I don't even know how many books I read through. I also have a ton I haven't read.
Yes.
But I like reading books because I love getting, new information. Even if it's, like I say, if I get one thing that's helpful out of a book, it's worth it. It's worth its weight. It's like, because the book's going to cost me, at most, I think the most expensive book I probably bought outside of school books was maybe $50 or something crazy. And if I can pull one thing that makes me any bit of business out of it, is that worth more than $50? Absolutely. Thanks for the sound effect there.
You're welcome.
So actually, that's going to be the first book I'm going to give away.
Oh, that's a good book.
Okay. So anyway, I buy all these books. I don't do anything with them. Most of the time, I just give them away to friends, or I keep buying the same book over and over again because I give it away and then want to read it again. Like 48 Laws of Power, babe. How many copies of the 48 Laws of Power have you seen?
I don't know. At least 5, for sure.
And those are the ones I haven't given away yet, because I keep one in every house. I like to keep one everywhere because I love that book. It's amazing. I recommend it enough. And now I'm staring at 2 copies of it right now. One on my printer and one on my desk. Anyway, so after I'm done with books, I like giving away. So I figure what I'm going to do is I just bought a bunch of these little Tyvek mailers. So they're super cheap. They cost me about 50 cents each. And then through Media Mail, it'll cost me less than $3. So basically, between packaging and shipping, I can mail a book anywhere within the United States for $3. So I figure, hey, I'm going to do that. So what I'm going to start doing is every time I'm done with a book, I'm going to start giving it away to people. So whoever wants it. So we'll do like one of those, things on Instagram where you tag somebody or like something or whatever, and then, we pick a winner. And we'll announce the winners in this podcast. I guess that's cool. And obviously on Instagram. And I'll mail the book out. And hopefully the people that get the book will post a picture that they've received it, so I get, at least so people will believe I'm actually sending the books. 'Cause I believe most of those things are total shams. Like, I don't think they're actually giving a prize to anyone. There's a friend of mine, I'm not going to name names, but he had a tattoo shop, and he was doing a free giveaway of a tattoo. Post, tag 3 people and all that kind of shit, and you get a free tattoo. And he announced the winner, and the winner was his girlfriend. And it was like, come on, man. It's like, because it was a scam. But so this isn't a scam. I'm really going to give away these books. What am I going to do with them? I don't care. It only cost me $3. The way I see this is it's a marketing. It's going to cost me $3 in marketing, every once in a while, which is nothing in a marketing budget. So, the first book I'm going to give away is called "Don't Buy a Duck" by Derek Champagne. Stop wasting money and only do marketing that works. This book was interesting. There wasn't a lot of really good stuff. Like, let me put it like this: I would not recommend you go out and buy this book for the wealth of knowledge you're going to gain. I just don't think it's worth it on that level. But it was good. I mean, it was kind of, he had some good stories about how he bought a duck when he was a kid at a yard sale and thought it sounded like a good idea, and it turned out to be a lot more work than it's worth, whatever. And this one is personally signed by him, addressed to Elena. I bought this on Amazon used. Thank you for being a guest on my business leadership show, and congrats on your business. Here's to your continued success. This dude's handwriting is so shaky that I'm hoping that his arm was injured or he's successfully overcome something, and this is how good he's gotten. Because this just looks so jittery. It's crazy. Looks like a serial killer handwriting. If you look at serial killer handwriting, it's actually pretty interesting. We won't go down that road. But anyway, it's called "Don't Buy a Duck." It says Amazon #1 bestseller. I'm not even sure why I read it. I bought it. I think it was one of those recommended things. Like, after I bought one book, I said, because if you're buying things, you should buy this book. I said, screw it. So I picked up a copy because the reviews are really good. I think these people don't read much that reviewed this book. Well, anyway, I'm going to give away this really crappy book to whoever wants it. Right? What a great sales pitch. But hey, this will just be the first one. I'm going to give it away. It's better than nothing. And hey, someone else might get more use out of it than me. So let's be green and recycle our books. I'm going to recycle them by giving out the knowledge to other people. Some of the other books that I have coming up. Let me just scooch over here. Actually, I just bought a new book. I'm actually pretty excited to read. I bought this. I'm not sure where I saw this. I think it was on Product Hunt. ProductHunt.com. They list a lot of really cool apps and things up and coming. I think this book was on there. It's called How to Be a Capitalist Without Any Capital. The 4 Rules You Must Break to Get Rich by Nathan Latka. I'm not looking to get rich, but anytime someone successful writes a book about how they did it, and if they go into details, like this guy is actually, like the details are pretty cool. Like he's showing the actual emails, actual spreadsheets he uses, actual bank statements and tax records for things. So it's like, someone that's putting in legit information more than just fluff of writing and how thick can they make their book. I've generally, in my experience, I find I get at least 1 or 2 good things out of there that I pick up going, oh, that's a pretty cool idea. I'll tweak my thing that I do it this way. I'll tweak it that way and see how it works. And every once in a while it picks up and works and just takes off. So anyway, this book looks pretty good. I have a flight coming up on Monday. I'm going out to Denver. So I'll bring that with me. It's a good book. Some other books I have. Let's see here. Let's see what I got. I'll scroll over here. Let's see. 48 Laws of Power. Driven to Delight. Delivering world-class customer experience the Mercedes-Benz way. This book I never actually read. This is my list of books I haven't read. I guess it's probably the better one. I've been carrying this thing around for years, but Mercedes-Benz customer relationship and their customer experience is amazing. So, and someone put a book out all about it. Super stoked about it. What's in here? Here's a bank statement from an old bank account. But yeah, so I picked it up. So I was like, hey, if they're going to talk about how they do their customer success, and they did it super well, and I'm definitely going to check it out and see what's more about it. So we'll check that book out. It looks pretty good. I have another Robert Greene book called The Art of Seduction. It's about, it's more of when we were talking about the NLP stuff a while back, and about how you can, manipulate people or get people to do things that you want them to do. This book really goes into that specifically on the seduction, like how to, get a chick or a dude to do what you want, for whatever reason. Another book I have is $1 Million Consulting by Weiss. I'm about 3/4 of the way down through that one. That one's really good. It's one of those books where I'm taking a long time because it's something that's got a lot of really good information, like a lot of good information. So I recommend that one, $1 Million Consulting by Weiss, if you're a consultant or interested in the business. I have Seducing Strangers, How to Get People to Buy What You're Selling by Weltman. Biocentrism and Beyond Biocentrism by Robert Lanza. It's a pretty good book. Different. It's like weird new agey stuff about how we're connected to other dimensions and how it's really bizarre. Just one of those non-fiction-y fiction books, I guess. Anyway, 7 Secrets of Persuasion by Crimmins. Signals, How Everyday Signs Can Help Us Navigate the World's Turbulent Economy by Dr. Pippa Malmgren. This book's actually pretty interesting. I was in a couple chats about some day traders, both Bitcoin, stocks, etc. And one of the guys that's on there that's ridiculously successful in his trades recommended this book, Signals. And when I couldn't find it anywhere, and then I finally found like one copy available, I knew it was like, wow, this is something I really got to check out. So I bought that book. Really good book. Really scary book, actually. But yeah, check it out if you're interested. Let's see, what else do I have here? The Perennial Seller by Ryan Holiday. Haven't even touched that one. The Fourth Turning. Oh, that's the scary book. That's a scary book. That was the first book I ever read while high, and it made it even more terrifying. I recommend this book. I still haven't finished it. I totally forgot about this book. The Fourth Turning by William Strauss and Neil Howe. This book is crazy. It talks about how history repeats itself in patterns and in waves, and it uses historical events to show it's, how it works and all that kind of stuff. And it kind of shows where we're going now and how we are following these patterns and what's about to come next. And what's about to come next is not good. But yeah, I was started reading this. I've never really read a book high because I've always wanted to retain the content, but this one I was reading more for enjoyment. And woo, did it really make me think a whole different way while reading. It made me really enjoy reading high. Like it's like it brings your knowledge, learning, and understanding to a completely different, I won't say level, but different plane. because you're definitely not retaining the information like I would when I'm, normal, like how I normally read. But it makes you, what's the best way to describe it? It makes you internalize it. It makes you really feel what you're reading more, So I guess we'll say anyway. The Customer Loyalty Loop. That one I've actually already finished by Fleming. That one's just about how to get your customers to keep coming back, how to get them to tell other people that want to keep coming back and stuff. That's always good. I love books about teaching about keeping your customers happy, because that's one of the most important things in business. Smile, You're Traveling by Henry Rollins. This book I've read a bunch of times. This is one of my favorite books of all times. It's just a nonfiction by Henry Rollins about how he travels a lot and where he goes. I just love traveling, so I love that one. Brain Hacks, Boost, Improve, Master. This one I never really got into. I bought this thinking I would just read it really quick. Hold on. Oop, don't fall. 200 Ways to Boost Your Brain Power. And when I just kind of flipped through it, it was kind of interesting. So there's these little quick things. Sow your wild oats. Learn to love labels. Use the 8-second rule. Eat the rainbow. Blah, blah, blah. Hug it out. Go ginkgo. Wash your hands. It's just weird stuff to kind of read. But I don't know why I bought it, but I did, thinking this would be kind of neat. But I never touched it. But if you're interested, check it out. It's called Brain Hacks. 200 Ways to Boost Your Brain Power. Let's see what's next here. I got the Book of Execution. It's an encyclopedia of all the legal ways people have been executed over the years in various countries and regimes. Very interesting book. They go into detail about who made the devices, that there were devices used, like the brazen bull and the guillotine by guillotine, right? They have first-hand accounts from old school executioners, like the guys that used to do the beheadings and stuff back in the day. And it's crazy. Almost all the time, they were completely drunk, completely out of their mind, because they hated what they were doing, but it was their job. And most of the time, they were, like lower class job type people that were doing that as like a side gig more than anything. But they'd be completely hammered doing their job because they were just so miserable because they hated it. And then what was even crazier that I learned was if the executioner botches the execution, so let's say they go to cut the guy's head off and they miss, and the sword only goes like halfway through the neck or something, and if the person being executed winds up going through massive amounts of pain and suffering, like screaming because they didn't get killed in that one swoop, the crowd revolts, and they've been known to kill the executioner. How crazy is that, right? But yeah, so there's a lot of neat information there, and a lot of historical references, so it's pretty good. Emotional Intelligence 2.0 by Travis Bradberry and Jean Graves. Haven't read that one yet. And what else? No, these aren't mine. Those are all her books. So yeah, those are the books that I just have sitting around next to me right now. But yeah, I have a lot more, but those are just the ones I have out, and I want to give them away to people because I'm not going to read it again. I know this. I've done this many, many times. So that's gonna be a thing. Look for that on Instagram. I'll post up. Maybe I'll post the Don't Buy a Duck one up today. I'll do that now, so you guys can see it. And then by the time I do the next podcast is when I'll pick the person who gets the book. Probably a good idea. Okay, I did it. I can check off one subject that I have talked about. Next one I want to talk about is school tuition. Now, everybody is up in arms these days about how kids are taken advantage of with these massively high school loans, and how screwed they are in the interest rates and this and that. And everyone's blaming the universities and the institutions giving out the student loans. Don't you know what you're buying when you sign up for this thing? I mean, I'm sorry, I'm just not buying it. I think everyone else is just a moron or lazy, and they're trying to pass off the blame to somebody else as if it's someone else's fault or responsibility. And obviously I'm not shy about that theory, but saying that it's the university's fault or that it's the student loan provider's fault that the rates are so high and they're getting raped over so much money and how it's astronomically expensive and they're stuck in debt forever and blah, 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 blah. No one forced them to sign for that student loan debt. No one forced them to agree to the terms that were presented to them when they took on that debt. No one forced them to go to the college that they chose or to go to college at all. No one forced them to do anything. They chose to do it. Someone said, hey, you know what? I want to go to a university after I graduate high school. And then they looked at the universities and they looked at the prices and they said, oh, this one's really expensive. I'm going to need a student loan because I can't afford it on my own because my job at Burger King ain't going to cut it. So then they apply for student loans, and then they get the letters back in the mail saying you've been accepted and we'll grant you up to X amount of dollars, whatever, for so long. And a whole contract that lists out the terms, the interest rates, and how you have to pay it off and all that kind of fun stuff. And then they said, okay, I like that. I'll take the money because, and I'm hoping their rationale is, it will, it's going to cost me more money because I have to pay it back. But in the end, when I'm out of college, I'll be able to make money and pay it all back. But why? How are these people like? I met people with student loans of over $200,000. They didn't go to Harvard or any weird, top Big Ten school or Ivy League school, and they're massively stuck in student loan debt. So if these kids are freaking out that their debts are so high, it's like, well, stop taking the money. You obviously can't do it. Don't choose a cheaper school. Step one. Like when I was graduating high school and I had to pick colleges, universities to apply to, I applied to a whole bunch in Michigan and in Ohio. And I got accepted into Michigan State University, Ohio State University, Ohio University, Eastern Michigan University, Wayne State College. I think it was a community college. I don't know. And Macomb Community College. I got accepted. That was definitely a community college. And I don't think I applied to U of M, but I knew going into it, I was definitely not smart enough to get into U of M. And I wouldn't be able to afford it anyway. And I wound up picking Eastern Michigan University. Definitely not the best school out of that list. I mean, Ohio State University and Michigan State University are both tremendously better schools. But when I looked into their tuition costs and their dorm costs and all the other costs associated with it and their average book fees and everything else, it would have cost me I'm trying not to swear, a ton more money to go to any of those universities that would have to go to Eastern Michigan. Eastern Michigan was the cheapest. So for me, that's why I went there. I went to the one that would cost the least amount of money, get me a degree, and get me out as quick as possible. That wasn't a community college because I wanted to go to an actual legit university. That was my what I ticked off. So it cost me somewhere around $14,000 to go to Eastern Michigan. Yeah, not near as much as all the other schools would have cost, right? But I knew that going into it because I didn't want to have a $80,000 student loan debt that I'm only paying interest on forever. And that's the other thing. If you're in debt, don't pay just the minimum. I think that's not even like a student loan thing. That's a debt thing. If you're in debt to anybody, never pay the minimum. Double it, triple it, pay whatever you can. Pay that thing off, So, but anyway, so everyone passing the buck saying, "Oh, these student loans, this is ridiculous. This is horrible." Well, don't buy things you can't afford. You don't go and look at like an 8-room mansion on the beach with its own helipad and be like, you know what? I know the rent is going to be about $16,000 a month, but I think I can afford it. I'm going to get a loan. And then you're pissed off that you can't afford it? Like, that's crazy. Buy what you can afford. Then I know I can already hear all the little babies in the world start crying. Well, it's not fair. Education should be free. Okay, cool. I agree. I think the education system definitely needs a revamp, and that there should be something in place where everyone can have a great education. I think it's fundamental to human society to have everyone as smart as possible. But that's not the world we live in, and that's not where you're going to be doing next year if you're in high school going into college. So, yes, there is what we should do and what we want to do, and then there's real life. So, I think that's the biggest problem, is that kids have had everything done for them their whole lives up until they're 18, most of the time. I don't say all the time. But most of the time, their parents did everything for them. And then all of a sudden, they have to make a decision, and they don't know anything about taking on debt. And they don't know anything about signing their life away on debt you can't file bankruptcy on, and how much it's going to be costing. They think they're going to make a ton of money when they get out of college if they graduate, and they'll pay it off in whatever terms or whatever. But where's the person? Where's the parent or their friends? Or why aren't they making good decisions on that level? Like, that's the foundation. And then we can say, well, that's public schools and they suck because they should be teaching things like that. Again, I agree. They absolutely should have classes, and not even classes, they should just call it Life Skills 101 on how to do things that are mandatory in life that are really important. But again, it doesn't, and it's not going to happen in a year. So stop complaining about it and just make a sensible decision. Like, oh no, I can't go to Harvard because it's $100,000 a year. That's not fair. Harvard should take everybody. What a load of crap. Like, you can't afford the good things. Oh well, get used to it. Pretty much everything in life is that way. I don't think everybody can afford a Bugatti. I don't think everybody can afford that mansion on the beach. I don't think everyone can afford their own private jet. We can do cry about it and like, oh, well, we should all get private jets. It's not fair that only the rich people have private jets. It's like, that's what you're saying, but just from an education standpoint. So I think that whole argument is complete BS. I think if I have limited funds, then you get to go to a limited college. That's just the way it works. Or you can take out massive debt and complain about it. It's a risk. It's a gamble you're going to take, right? And when I went to college, I was told by a few people. I went around and talked to my friends' dads that went to college, and there weren't, as many moms back then. But anyway, I was like, hey, I'm about to go into college in the next couple of years. What was your experience? What did you learn from it? How should I go into this? What universities are good or bad, and why is it good and why is it bad? So this is me doing research on something I'm about to do, which pretty much no one ever does either. They just assume they're going to wing it all the time because they're geniuses or something. I don't know. So anyway, so I'm asking all these people, like, hey, and almost all of them said the same thing. Whatever you graduate with, your major, really doesn't matter because you're going to wind up doing something different. I didn't learn anything other than how to finagle my way into a class that's overbooked. So from like, you're going to get this whole holy book of knowledge, and you're going to be so smart when you graduate. Don't count on that. It's like basically I learned to network with people, how to get my way when I needed it so I can get the amount of credits I need to graduate. And by the end, when I finally graduated, my degree in didn't matter whatsoever because that's not what I do. The only people that was different for were teachers or doctors because they went into a specialty field. But how many people are doing that? I don't know the stats, but I would greatly assume that the majority of people going into colleges and universities are not going into a specialized field. They're going into, I don't know, like anthropology or music learning or computer systems or whatever. It's like in my degree in college, I had a double major. I did computer sciences. It was a computer sciences and networking classes, and I did business, Japanese, and linguistics. So mine were all computer science classes, and I was learning how to speak, read, write, and do Japanese deals and negotiations. Like my whole thing, what I thought I was going to do was I was going to graduate college, and then I was going to go to Japan, and my whole thing was I was going to negotiate terms and buyout deals between Japanese companies and U.S. companies, and I was going to be the translator / business negotiation guy. About a year into college, I realized that's never going to happen. But I really liked the Japanese class, so I stuck with it. I just turned it into a second major. But I graduated in 4 years, but I did 19 credit hours a semester, while most people were doing 14 to 15 hours. I was also working 2 jobs, sometimes up to 3, depending on which part of the time of the year it was. And most people had 1 job or lived at home with no jobs, and I lived on my own as well. So I was in it to get done as quick as possible and owe as little as possible when I was out. I paid off my student loans, I think, when I was like 25, 26. I honestly don't know. I have no idea because I paid off a couple, just a few years after getting out of college because I didn't take on a ton of debt and I was paying off my interest while I was going to school. So this way, what I had to pay, I wasn't accumulating interest while I was going to college because I was paying it down while I was going to college. But you know what that meant? It meant I have one distinct memory to this day. It still haunts me. Is the Honey Nut Cheerios haunt.
What's that?
That was my first year in college, and it came to a point where I was so broke that the only thing I had to eat, I had 1 box of Honey Nut Cheerios. So I had to ration a box of Honey Nut Cheerios to be my breakfast, my lunch, and my dinner for like 5 days, 6 days straight.
That is dedication.
It wasn't dedication. I had no option. I had no money. I was
had to ration
completely
before,
broke.
but not like that.
I was completely broke, had no money, no food, no anything. And so I lived on this box of Honey Nut Cheerios. And I remember talking to my dad, being like, hey, can you send me some money? Because I'm really broke here. And he's like, oh, just go get some food in the grocery store. I'm like, no, I don't have any money. It's like, just take $5, go buy a couple. I'm like, I don't have any money. Like, no loose change laying around, nothing. I am broke. I have $0. Can you please give me some money? And the answer was no. But you know what, though? It's like, during the time, I was like, man, my dad's a dick. But I wound up seriously learning how to fend for myself. And more importantly, how to never get into that situation again. Because you know what? Living like that sucks. I hated it. It was, it wasn't like my life was miserable. Honestly, I was probably having the time of my life. but I was hungry and broke and couldn't do anything other than just make up stuff. But, you know, that just fueled that fire of, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of college as quick as possible. I need, you know, just do the bare minimum to get my degree, whatever it took, and get out. And at the same time, I also learned, like my friends' dads learned, how to finagle yourself into classes that were overbooked and, you know, make sure you signed up things in advance. And yeah, my major, I do nothing in Japanese. I have done literally nothing with my Japanese since I graduated.
But are you happy that you took it?
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
So
I actually had a great
it was a
time.
good
I was lived in Japan for a while. I mean, I can tell you, my Japanese teacher
Yeah.
in college, her name was, I want to say Matoka. No, it's Madoka. It's not Madoka. Dang it, I almost remember her name. It starts with an M. I can't remember it, but
Okay.
it doesn't matter, I guess, at this point. That was a long time ago. Oh, that was 21 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's how long ago.
So,
Well, I started Japanese class in my, what's junior, sophomore, senior? Is that how it goes? Or no, sophomore, junior, senior? So
yeah,
my sophomore year in high school. Because for me, I went to high school. It starts in 10th grade for me. Junior high was 7 through 9, and then high school was 10 through 12. So my first year of high school, 10th grade, I took Japanese class as my foreign language. And I did it solely because there was a very specific person that told me I wouldn't be able to do it. I should take something easier like Spanish. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll show you. So I signed up for it and rode that one all the way through.
I'm glad you did. You got to go to Japan.
Yeah, I got to live in Japan. I have great experiences. Anyway, I'm digressing. But so I wanted to get out of college fast. So yes, I learned a lot of bad things. You know, like, or not bad things. I learned a lot of. I had to go through a lot of things that were at that point in time sucked, but I would say they were very fundamental in shaping myself to what I am now. You know, it was, oh, you're hungry? Well, you better go. Your 2 jobs ain't cutting it. Guess what? Get a 3rd job. Make more money. Like, there's a simple solution for you. Don't have enough money? Go make more money. I saw an interview with Adam Carolla years ago. I would love to find. I should Google this so I can find it. But Adam Carolla did an interview with someone. I don't know. It was something like Dave Letterman or something. And he was talking. They were asking him, you know, like, hey, you know, what kind of, you know, how can people, you know, save up to get a better house? Like, what do you recommend? That's totally the wrong topic, so don't quote me on it. But it's something along these lines of like, hey, when you need money for something, what do you do? Like, what's your plan? And he just looked at him like he was asking him if he had a, you know, like looked like he had a third eye growing on his forehead. He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, just go make more money. Like, what do you mean save? Why would you save money to save up to buy something? Just go make more money. Like, it's an endless opportunity of money. Just make more. It's like, okay, well, yeah, but these guys are already working 9 to 5 and they have families. You know, you can't just tell them to work more because they're on salary. Get another job. You need more money, get another job, or get a different job, get a better job. Learn a new skill in your free time and get a better job. Do something, but make more money. If you want something and you can't afford it, make more money. And that really stuck with me, obviously. But my big takeaway was, don't go into debt because you want something that you can't afford. Don't buy it. You can't afford it. And if you want something that you can't afford, then make more money. Figure it out. And if you can't figure it out, well, you don't get the bigger boat. I don't know what to tell you. And, you know, we're all in this situation, because that was another thing I learned in my lesson. I call it the everyone's got a bigger boat theory. So when I was my first trip down to the Bahamas, I went to this little island called Harbor Island. They have a 3-mile long pink sand beach. Oprah's got a house there. Bill Gates has a house there. It's super tiny. It's like 3 miles long and a half mile wide. Super tiny, super small, isolated, but amazing place to go. And so I was at this beach bar. Can't remember the name of it. I want to say Valentine's. And they have a marina, Valentine Marina, I think it's called. And all these super huge yachts show up, because the only people that show up there either come there via plane or your yacht. And it's like the only way to get to this island. So everyone's got their yachts all lined up. And I remember one day I was sitting there at the marina bar drinking with a bunch of the guys that had come in on their boats. This one guy, this massive boat in the back, and everyone was just, you know, wanted to hang out with that guy. Like, oh, that dude's got, you know, that 60-foot boat in the back. It's all lit up with the water all red around it and everything. And so everyone wanted to be this dude's friend, and he was loving the attention he was getting, of course. And then while we were talking to him, another boat that dwarfed his pulled up and parked like right next to him. And then dude came walking onto the thing with his crew and staying at the bar. And then that whole group of people switched over to that guy because they were like, "Oh my gosh, your boat is so big. It's amazing. Look at those cool things. You have jet skis on hanging off the back. That's so cool." And all of a sudden the other guy wasn't so hot anymore. And that's kind of the thing, is that chasing the dragon, you will never have the biggest, the best, the whatever, which is like, oh, I want a bigger house. Why? Just to put more stuff in it? Like right now I'm thinking like in the next couple of years I'm going to need to buy a house. So I'm thinking about now, what is it I want to look for? And do I want some crazy 8-house mansion thing with 5-car garages and whatever? It's
No,
like,
you want to be able to do more stuff.
Yeah.
Use that money for something else.
That's crazy. Like, what am I going to do with it? I'll just buy more crap to fill it up the space? Like, that's stupid.
Clean it?
Yeah, and I want to clean it. And then I got to hire someone to clean it. Like, that's for stupid. Like, I just, for me, I want probably like a 4-bedroom house with plenty of bathrooms for everybody and my own little lockaway area. Nothing crazy. And a hot tub.
Nothing crazy. Maybe a sauna.
I do want a sauna. I really want a sauna.
Yes.
That's on my new list of things I want
hot
is
tubs
I want a
are so
sauna.
good for you. Maybe not.
I'll fill it up with Epsom salt CBD and relax in it. So anyway, I digress on school tuition. So school tuitions, I don't think are the student loan providers or the college's fault. I think it stems all the way down to the person who signed the contract to take the loan to buy something that they couldn't afford. And that's, I think, is the bigger lesson here, is that people need to learn to stop buying crap you can't afford.
Well, and community college is not bad at all. Smaller classroom sizes, more one-on-ones with the teachers, because they assume that people need more help, and they provide it, and it's great.
And honestly,
It's much better
I
than
am
university usually.
39 years old. I apply to more jobs than I guarantee anyone that's listening to this right now.
Yeah.
I apply for new gigs, I would say 4 to 5 times a day on average during the week. On the weekends, maybe only 1 or 2 over the weekend collectively. I'm always applying for jobs. I'm always interviewing for jobs. I probably have 3 to 4 interviews that I do a week with people for new jobs. For all kinds of reasons. I won't get into all of them, but most of the time it's just to keep I want to know what's out there, I want my pulse on the market, or if another job comes along, I can take it if it's really good and worth it and better rates or whatever. But most of the time it's really just keeping on top of what people are looking for, how to interview. Like, I can scale through an interview no problem. Like, people talk about how they get nervous on interviews. Not even close. Never happened to me. I've done thousands of interviews over these last, probably decade. So when someone says, "Hey, you have an interview coming up," I'm ready the second they call me. I don't have to plan. I don't have to do research. I don't have to think ahead about what they're going to do. And I nail them almost all the time. Sometimes I don't, and that's fine. But then I will reach back out to them or someone else who was in the middle and be like, try to find out why it didn't work. And that's what it is. I'm just constantly learning how to be the best interviewer possible. So when it's time to get a job, and I really do need a job, then I go in the full gear. Now I really research everything out ahead of time. I really will do my own mock interviews ahead of time. I'll research the people I'm talking to. I'll go crazy. But I'm always ready. Like, I'm always ready, because you never know what's going to happen. Anyway, what was I talking about? Why did I go down this interview route?
I guess it's the more like money opportunity type of thing. I think we're still on that.
Yeah, I don't remember. I did partake in some relaxing substances so that I could talk a little bit easier.
Right.
So one of those side effects is loss of short-term memory. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, that's what's going to happen right now. But I don't care. It's only short-term memory, not long-term memory. So let's just skip on to the next one. The next one I want to talk about is my buddy Dave calls it living the high-low life. And he's my private jet buddy. He's also now my business partner in RootFX, actually. So him and his wife are in the company. Yay, Dave. I'm going to bring him on this podcast. He's got a lot of cool stuff to talk about. It's going to be interesting because we can't talk about everything that he does or did, or how that, I'm not sure how that works. But either way, we got a lot of good stuff that we can talk about. And he's my head of sales and business development for RootFX, for the cannabis consulting company that we run. And it's been great. We've been getting able to help a lot of new patients recently and new clients. So we actually have 2 new clients, one down in Florida, one up here in New York, that want to start up their own CBD line. And we've both created multiple CBD lines and products and branding and all that kind of stuff. So we're working with them to help with their products now. Both of them are doctors too, so we're going to be doing some pretty cool stuff there. So anyway, the high-low life is where you live in both worlds. So like a perfect example is I'll be flying on a G4 from LA. I'll have the whole thing to myself by some stupid chance, and the whole way I'm flying, you know, I'm wearing my ripped up Slayer t-shirt and pair of camo shorts, and you know I got my backpack, and maybe I haven't even showered in 2 days because I've just been too busy or too lazy or whatever it is. But you know, I am not the person that should be on a private jet. You know, it's like, and that's what it is. It's that we're not. You know, it's just because we have money or we have the resources available to us in these worlds, like the private jet stuff, where it's like, okay, I also have to wear my own custom 3-piece suits and have the perfect haircut and shave 3 times a day and all these, you know, like all this other crap that goes along with it. And it's like, man, that stuff doesn't matter. You know, it's like, who cares? It's like, I'm comfortable wearing the clothes I want to wear. I'm comfortable driving the cars I have and whatever. It's like, I don't always have to have the best of whatever. It's not to show off to people. It's really just on the good things. It's have it because you want it for that one time. Just kind of like, you know, treat yourself. It's like,
what about my example? How most of my clothes are hand-me-downs.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Absolutely true.
Not that I don't like looking good. It's just the fact that I guess I have a size that fits all.
It's crazy. I've never seen anyone that she gets like 2 bags of clothes a week from people at work. It's
that's
crazy.
Not an exaggeration. It's
and most of the stuff's new.
Strange. I work. Yes, a lot of the stuff is new. I have cashmere hand-me-downs.
Crazy.
And yeah, it's just who you know.
It's bizarre.
You know. I work at a hair salon. So. Yep. There's a lot of women.
So it's really just about the few of us that are. When you look at us, you think we are poor, democratic. I don't even say. Well, it could be hippies, but no, let's just say
You're
hippies.
You're not really a hippie. You're like a.
I'm not a hippie though. That's the problem. Is I'm so anti-hippie. But if you saw me, you wouldn't be thinking, oh, let's talk to this guy about how he runs his multiple companies.
No.
What would you say? What would you say? What do you think people say when they see me? What do you think goes on in their head? Besides, he's tall.
Well, they probably think you're a musician with all your tattoos.
That definitely happens. Like whenever I sit down in first class, it's always, what team do you play for? Or what band are you in? Yes. And my response is always, why do I have to be a musician? Why can't I just be a successful CEO? And then they just kind of laugh.
They profile.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But I also do that on purpose. Because I don't always want to talk to, well, first off, I really don't want to talk to people pretty much ever, which is ironic, right? But
and you also don't care if you get that turn, like, is that the new Gucci?
Oh, I don't care about any of that stuff for sure. I couldn't tell you what season is what, but I mean, I was a Versace fan for the longest time, but it was because they had really cool accessories and clothes. I mean, it's a Medusa head. That's pretty metal. And then they used to make a bunch of, everything had skulls and snakes on it. I'm like, that's metal. So it's like, I can wear this high-end stuff into my client site. So when I'm going to my banker's client, I have to wear suits. Okay, I wear suits, and I have my Versace cufflinks because they're Medusa heads. So that fits my profile. I'm a metalhead that likes black and metal and stainless steel, so they start making that stuff. Perfect. Fits me exactly. I'm not going to wear something that I'm not. Like my custom suits I have made have like the linings, have custom silk linings with skulls on them. I have my little skull buttons on them, and you know, it's.
They're like purple inside.
I have lots of crazy, and my black on black embroidery ones I have, like with the bunch, it's almost like a floral print on it,
right,
so it looks
you
crazy.
Almost not even see it.
Yeah, only when you're up close.
You see it. It's very nice.
So this way, when I'm wearing my fancy clothes, I still feel like me. I could, whether I'm wearing my Slayer t-shirt and a pair of jeans, or I'm wearing my custom Versace suits, you know, it's like, it puts me into that mindset though. Like when I'm wearing just jeans and a hoodie, which is what I'm wearing right now, I'm wearing my Nine Inch Nails t-shirt, an Old Navy hoodie, I think, and a pair of jeans. This is pretty much my daily attire.
You look amazing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And but I'm just more relaxed and comfortable, and I'm just who I am, which most people probably don't like. But
when the sweatpants go on.
But when the sweatpants go on, then I ties it. If I don't get home before those sweatpants get on. So yeah, sweatpants that's my level. No, that happens a lot too, though. Honestly, like I would say most of the time I'm working from home, especially the last couple of weeks, because it's just been so busy. From the second I wake up, things are just cranking and running so fast. Next thing I know, it's like 4 o'clock, and I'm still wearing my pajamas. 70 had a second to eat or look away at the computer or whatever it is I'm doing. It's crazy. Sometimes that happens, just get in that zone. And then, so anyway, but then there's other times where, you know, you have to be presentable, whatever. So, but when I have to be that business person, I want to still represent me as who I am, and I want it to feel like my persona is being profiled or is being shown through with my clothes. But anyway, so this is why it's weird. I don't know too many people that live this life, but for me, it's the one that makes the most sense and it's most comfortable. I will have I love driving my Ferrari, but at the same time, I had a 2000 Dodge Durango that had over 200,000 miles on it. I bought it when I was living out in Palo Alto. I paid, I don't know, like $3,000 for the car, I think. But it was amazing. It had like 26-inch rims. It had all the windows so heavily illegally tinted, massive sound system in the back. When you hit the side panels with your fist, you like punch the door, it just reeked of weed. I mean, the truck was a hardcore drug dealer truck, absolutely guaranteed. It came with a free pair of acrylic brass knuckles in the center console. When I was taking it for a test drive, I pulled them. I was like, "Whoa! Like, does this come with the car?" And he's like, "You want them?" I'm like, "Oh yes, I do." These are amazing. Like the dude that I bought it from was this Puerto Rican dude that had a tattoo of the federal prison in Puerto Rico on his back. I was like, "Oh, I'm Puerto Rican." I showed him my driver's license. We became best buds pretty much immediately. So I bought this obviously drug dealer car, and I was living in Palo Alto. I used to get pulled over by the cops all the time. And but I loved it. But the air conditioning didn't work. Mostly everything didn't work on that car. But I drove that thing all the time. So I'm perfectly happy driving this beat up drug dealer car that's completely broken down and a piece of crap as I am driving my Ferrari. I have just as much fun in both of them. So it's like, I don't know, it's just, just because it's expensive doesn't mean it's better. But just because it's expensive doesn't mean it sucks either. A lot of times because coming from growing up poor and everyone around, and you can see this now in the media and everyone else, this is another thing I want to talk to, which will lead, this is a great segue into my next topic, actually. Yeah. So, but you'll see that most people say, "Oh, it's super expensive, so therefore it sucks because it's only catered to the rich people," or it's like only douchebags buy Lamborghinis. It's like, oh, if you have a Lamborghini, that guy's a douchebag, or it's
the tinier the car,
Well, I think the more expensive the car, the smaller the penis.
Yes,
is how it goes, right? That's the other thing too. I was like, oh. Look at the size of his truck. He's got massive wheels. It's all souped up and looks like a monster truck. That guy must have a small penis. Yeah. It's like, why? Where does that correlation come from?
They think they need that attention.
Oh, they're making up for something because they want the attention. It's like, absolutely, they very well might possibly want the attention, or maybe that dude just really loves souped up trucks and he loves monster trucks. Yeah. I mean, I can't think of a single. My son plays with monster trucks. He's got little monster trucks. So when you get older, and all of a sudden you can afford to turn a big truck into what's almost like a monster truck, and why wouldn't you? That's crazy. And then everyone's gonna make fun of you. Oh, you must have a small penis. It's like, that's just crazy. What it is it's jealousy.
How dare?
It's complete jealousy for that people can't, because they have already submitted themselves to where they can never have it. So since they know that they can't get it because they've convinced themselves that they can't, they're just instantly going to make fun of everyone because it's just easier than working to get it themselves. Yeah. And then you hear these saying, "Oh, I wouldn't want that." So, and you know what? Changed my mind real fast. So if I came up to you and handed you a Ferrari right now, so everyone out there that says like, "Well, Ferraris, those are for, losers or for whatever," who knows? Heck yeah. But it's like, okay, look. So you're telling me you would never want a Ferrari? I never want a Ferrari. I wouldn't want a Ferrari. Now I dealt with this when I got my car. Actually, I had my tattoo shop out in California. And all my tattoo artists and my workers at the shop, they were giving me shit about how I was complaining I couldn't fit into like the Maserati that I wanted to buy and all this shit, whatever, when I was trying to buy a car. Oops, sorry. Dang, try not to swear. Anyway, so they're all giving me a car. I'm like, man, those cars, only like, let's just say douchebags drive those cars. I wouldn't want to be caught dead in one of those cars. That's some bullshit. Blah blah blah. And it's like, dude, you're just saying that because you've already committed to yourself that you're never going to get it. So it's just easier to make fun of those people and to somehow tell people, I would never buy that car. Like, I would never buy a Bugatti. Waste $1 million on a car for a car that looks like that. You know what? I could get a whatever car and it'll go faster. I could build a car that'll go faster than that for a third the price. Why would I do that? Blah, that's just stupid. It's like, man, you're not even in the right mindset of that person that's buying that Bugatti. That person that's buying that Bugatti has $1 million just laying around and is like, you know what? I kind of want to drive a Bugatti. So he went out and bought it. And you're telling me I wouldn't do it? Screw that. That's a load of crap. Now here's how I know this. Is every person I talk to, where I'd say, hey, why don't you want to get a Ferrari? They're like, oh, I wouldn't want one of those cars. Those things are for, douchebags just want to pick up chicks, whatever. And then I'll pull up in my car and I'm like, hey, you want to take it for a test drive? Not a single one of them said, I don't want to drive that car. Well, a couple did, but they were because they didn't want to crash it and owe me the money. But even then, I got them to drive the car. So anyway, it's like, who wouldn't want to drive that car? If someone pulled up right to you right now and was like, hey, look, here's my Ferrari. You want to go for it? Just cruise down the expressway and just floor it? Have some fun? Everyone's going to say yes because it's fun. Driving a Ferrari and going super fast on the expressway is an exciting thing to do. It's like, come on. This isn't really that complicated of a thing to talk about here. So whenever I see people complaining that, oh, if it's expensive, it's for douchebags, and only douchebags have that stuff, and successful people, they're not like me. It's like, that's just a little, well, it's true, they're not. You have very different, mindsets on things, but it's like, everyone has the exact same opportunities. And everyone wants to call bullshit because they're like, oh, well, that guy was given all his money as a kid. Okay, I've known plenty of trust fund kids, especially here living in Manhattan, who blew through all of their money and became heroin addicts and died, even though they were completely wealthy. And they wanted to live on the street and be cool punks. And then I know a bunch of other people that came up with nothing and became complete successes and are doing super well for themselves. So just because you have everything handed to you doesn't mean you're in it for life. It just means it's going to be easier for you for sure. But if you don't have that mental ability to grow it and to keep it going or whatever, it's like you're just going to live a crappy life anyway. So, yeah. You want to say something?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, so this leads me into my next topic, which is success is socially punished. Originally, I was just saying success is punished, meaning if you're successful, everyone's going to tell you how much you suck and how horrible of a person you are because you're successful. And then I realized success actually isn't punished. Success is very much rewarded. It's just socially it's punished. Because when you're successful, your life is a lot easier. Things are a lot easier. Your stress goes down. You don't have to worry about bills as much. You can afford more vacation time. You don't have to work as hard. Once success starts getting in, things start working for you, people start working for you, you can start, actually enjoying life a lot more. And so definitely success has its rewards. And obviously, money and everything else, but it's really what it can do for you as a tool, right? Like money is just, it's not really anything, it's just a tool. But socially, we punish those that are successful. And I find this extremely depressing and ironic at the same time. So I would say, I just started thinking about this the other day I was having a conversation with my friend Adam. I'm going to get him on a podcast here soon. He's a great friend of mine out in Montana, but he's the complete opposite on how we think politically and, what's right and what's wrong and ethically, I guess, and stuff like that. So we always get into really good debates, and unfortunately, a lot of times it's on a public stance or on a public in a public way, so everyone sees it and they don't understand we're friends, and that's why we're going back and forth. And then outside people start jumping in and think it's an actual fight, and it's crazy. Anyway, so when you see people out there today, and someone like, watch this. Perfect. Here's a good example. So we have people out there that are doing, let's say they're making $100 million a year, right? And then people will jump right behind that note and then say $100 million. That person obviously should be taxed way more than the person only making, like the single mom who's got 3 kids and only making $36,000 a year. That guy should obviously pay a lot more taxes. Like so what? He should pay 75% tax. Who needs $100 million? He doesn't need that much. It's like, why do you have any say so in this guy's family, in this guy's life?
Right, and if he didn't make that empire, then that single mom might not have a job.
She probably works for him.
Right.
And even still, it's like, what does that have to do with you? Like, what is happening that he's doing that's not fair that you can't do within the rules of the game that we're all playing? And a lot of people are, oh, well, the rich have all these tax loopholes. No, the tax loopholes exist. It's that whoever takes advantage of them. Everyone can take advantage of tax loopholes. Look up section 179 of the tax code. It's the heavy machinery equipment bill farm thing. That's how I got a $30,000 Mercedes. You know, I used it for work, but hey, the shit's in there. There's all kinds of tax stuff in there. So look that stuff up and figure out how to save your own money. But anyway, I'm getting too far. I want to focus on the point, which is if someone is successful, it's more popular to attack that person for being successful and just instantly thinking they're a douchebag and that they hate that person. Like the only way a person can be successful is if they give all their money away. They have to be a complete, and then even still, nope, doesn't count. It's like Bill Gates, I think, has given away more money than anyone that I know of. And people still bash him because he makes too much money. It's not fair. And now his family's going to get... It's like, what the heck is going on? Like, I was watching a podcast with Joe Rogan and it's like Tom Segura. And they're talking about Bernie Madoff. One of his clients that got busted with the whole Ponzi scheme was forced to give back $7 billion to the people that he stole from. And apparently he was worth $9 billion. And either the guy killed himself or he died in a drowning of some kind or something. But they started joking. It's like, dude, you got $9 billion, you have to give back 7. Oh no, I only have $2 billion. Life's not worth it. And he shot himself. It's like, dude, who needs $9 billion? Like, come on. But that's the mentality. It's, oh well, you have more than me, so therefore it's not needed, or it's not fair, or I don't like it. So it's whoever's above you. Now think about this. Every time I hear these people say, oh, it's not, oh, that guy's a douchebag. He makes $5 million a year. He buys a new car every year, and he's always got his kids with the fanciest, they always got the latest gadgets and whatever. And I don't know, he's got the biggest house. He's always building onto his house. And oh, look, he got another boat. So we go, oh, this is another one. My landlord, I'm just renting a house out here in New York right now. My Ferrari, when I first got it out here, had it parked on the house like a lifted house, so it was parked underneath it. And the landlord's plumber came by to fix something at the house. Like there was something wrong with the plumbing or something. And I was talking to the landlord. She's like, yeah, so he owes me, like a bunch of, or no, wait, was it he owes her? No. Yeah, he owes her a bunch of money for some reason. I don't know what it was. And she was talking to him, and she's like, hey, so hey, do you have that the money that you owe me, whatever? And he's like, I noticed the Ferrari in the driveway. It looks like things are doing just fine for you. What do you care if I'm paying you right now or not? And it's like, what the hell does that have to do with anything? It's like she could have easily killed that argument. Just be like, that's not my car. That's my tenant's car. So do you have that money? And then he'd be like, oh, okay, you're not as much of a douchebag now because you don't have the Ferrari, even though you're asking me for the money I owe you. It's like, what does me owning a Ferrari have anything to do with the debt that you owe me? Yes, you owe me $6,000. Pay me. What's this have to do? One thing has nothing to do with the other. And it's like, I had that happen. There was a guy down in Puerto Rico. He wanted to borrow $14,000 from me to put on a convention. And he'd borrowed money from me in the past couple years to do the same thing, and he's always paid it back. So I was like, okay, cool. I was like, but this is a lot more than you normally take. Like normally he takes like $4,000 or $5,000. So I was like, $14,000. I'm like, dude, you're not worth $14,000. Like you don't have anything really. Like if all of a sudden you just disappear, how I'm stuck and you don't really have anything for me to take. So I made him sign over as a collateral his car, which was a Toyota Yaris, which wasn't even worth $14,000 at all. I think it was worth like $6,000 when I blue booked it at the time. And I was like, look, dude, I'm like this, and he's like, no problem. So he signed it. I gave him the money, ran the convention. The convention did horribly. He didn't have the money to pay me back. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. It sucks. Like, I need the keys to your car until you give me my money, though. It's like, that's just the way it is. Like, oh, I need my car to go make money. Like, I get it. That's a horrible situation to be in. Unfortunately, you were the one that put yourself in that situation. I didn't go to you knocking down your door saying you should take my money and use your car as collateral. In fact, I told you time and time again, I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea. But, you wanted it, and we've done business before in the past, and you've done well in the past, so you did it anyway. Give me your car. And then it just came down to one of those things where I came over to my shop, and the car was in the parking lot, and my shop manager had the keys. I was like, cool. And then after about 6 months, he paid it all back. He got me my money back. But you know what it was? It was because I had his car every day. When he got up in the morning, he'd be like, shit, dude's got my car. Like, and it was signed over in his mom's name. So it wasn't even his car. Like, his mom was the one that was on the hook for it, not even him, which is even crazier. But it's Puerto Rico for you. And but the whole time I drove his car. I had my Mercedes. I had 2 Mercedes down there at the time, and I drove his little Toyota Yaris. I remember I went to there was a can. I didn't fit, but one time I'd actually pull my leg up to my face to get it around the steering wheel to get my feet in there. I have a couple of pictures I posted online me driving the thing. But there's I don't want to say convention, but it's a miniature convention at the Ritz-Carlton in Puerto Rico that I was going to. And it was a business one, so I was wearing my nice suits and all my nice, I was doing the high life. I was wearing all my custom Versace stuff, my dress shoes, I had my hair done, shaved, and it was all primped out to meet these high business investor guys I was trying to roll with. And, but I pulled up to the Ritz-Carlton in his Toyota Yaris. It beat up, pulled right up to the valet, handed him the keys. I was like, cool. Like, hey, take good care of her. Looking at me like, what the hell is this? But that's the thing, I don't care what car I'm driving. It's like, I'm not trying to impress the valet or anything like that. And I was more trying to show everyone, because Puerto Rico is a very small island and everyone knows me down there, that I take my debts seriously. So if you sign something with me saying that I'm going to take your car, if you don't pay me, I'm going to take your car, and then I'm going to drive around all the big spots and show everybody that I have your car. So, yeah. So be careful what you sign up. But anyway, so being the success are socially punished is, I think it starts all the way back in elementary school. School is the very first place that I could see this happening, and I think it just never gets checked. Exactly. If you're smart, or if you pass the tests, you're labeled a nerd, a geek, a dork. You're not cool because you're smart. What? And everybody, there's not one person in the world right now that could say it is not advantageous to be smart than stupid. Yet, if you're smart, everyone's going to bash you and put you down as being a nerd, a dork, a dweeb, but whatever. They're going to make fun of you. They're going to beat you up after school, because they're jealous. They're straight jealous that you don't have to work and study. These kids might be, most of the time, the kids that are making fun of you or whatever, they don't study. This is actually interesting. Now that I'm thinking this out loud and through it. The kids that make fun of the smart kids are not the kids trying. It's the kids not trying. It's the ones that are lazy and stupid. It's like that combination. They're just the dumb, lazy kids. And maybe they're not horribly dumb, but they're not smart. Because if they're smart, they wouldn't have to study. That's the first part. So they're not smart. Let's say they're mediocre, or they're the median level or lower, and they don't work for it. They're lazy. They're definitely lazy because they're definitely not trying. Because the ones that are trying, where they study every night and they're trying their best and they still get a C, they're not, they might be pissed off at the person getting the A's. Like, oh man, that sucks. That kind of jealousy. But that person's not going around calling them a nerd or a dork, because they're more concerned about how they're doing themselves. They care like, oh, I got a C on this last test. Oh, that guy got an A. Of course he got an A. He always gets an A. He never, it sucks. It's like, man, I got a C. I got to do something. I got to try harder. I got to, what can I do? They think, how can I fix this situation?
Myself. I'm doing it myself.
Yeah, exactly. They're more concerned with themselves than the other people that sit there and make fun of them all day long.
And those are the most likable people anyway.
And then you have the other people, which are the smart people, and then they feel that they need to dumb down their accomplishments to those that didn't accomplish it, so that they're liked, so that they're fit in. Exactly. So this is, I'm obviously speaking 100% out of personal reflection here, but I was never liked in school pretty much ever until pretty much like high school or whatever, like end of high school with some select friends, but I was that nerd, I was the dork, I was the, I never studied, I aced everything, and who cares? I wasn't running around bragging and being like, I'm smart and you're a moron. I was just doing my schoolwork, and I always wanted to be the first one done with the test with the highest score. That was my thing. I was more concerned about being first than 100% right, but I definitely had to have the highest score. But I wasn't studying. I wasn't doing any of that stuff. So what would happen is I'd see other kids that would ace the test that would be more liked in school, but then when they ace it, they'd be like, oh, I just guessed, I just put abacadabra on there, I just got lucky, ha ha ha. Like, they'd play it off. They wouldn't say, no, I'm just smart, I just knew the answers. You'd have to play it off as like, oh, it was luck, or oh, it's not that big of a deal, or whatever, who cares, and whatever. It's like, you cannot be proud of accomplishments. If you are, everyone that doesn't accomplish the same thing tears you down.
You're conceited.
Yep, you're an asshole. No, that's me 100%. So, and now the same thing happens now. It's like, whenever I go out, I mean, not as much now because I've changed over the past few years, but I would say starting like 4 years ago, maybe a little more, whenever I go out to the bars and I'm hanging out with friends and this and that, I would never let on in any way, shape, or form how much money I had or what I did for a living or even that I own companies. Most of the people I hung out with in the bars in New York, when they'd say, hey, what do you do for a living? I'd just say security. They would assume I was a physical security guard. Like I was a security guard that stood outside a bar, checked IDs, or I worked at like Best Buy as the security guy just because I was a big tattooed guy.
You're no longer a threat to them.
And they're like, oh, you're just like us. You're just like me. I work on the machinery plant, or I'm a bartender over here, or I'm a grocery bagger over here, or this or that. And it's like, okay, cool. You're one of us. You're one of those, us fighting here at the bottom. I never corrected them, and I never said they were right or wrong. I just told them what I did, and they ran with it. And it's interesting, though, because I would hear them all the time complaining about how, it's like, oh, and then you got these douchebags that just running around with all their money and this and that. They need to be more taxed. And I wouldn't hold my feelings back. Like, I'd like, what? So because they make more money, they deserve to be taxed at a different bracket. So because they're more successful, they have to be punished more. Like, no, it's not that. It's like, come on. It's like they have so much money. They don't need all that money. And I remember my favorite. This is when I flipped. Like when I flipped, meaning I flipped from. Sorry, you can't see my hand motions. I'm doing it up like a ball, up to down. This is when I changed how I would, how people saw me. So, what happened whenever the big 1%er thing came out? When it was everyone hates the 1%ers because it's not fair, and then the big protest in Wall Street where everyone sat down or something. I don't know. And the 1%, it's not fair because the 1% rules the world, and they're the most, they're the biggest douchebags, and they're trying to fuck over society and blah blah blah. Oh, sorry, I'm swearing again. But and so one day I actually sat down. I was like, what is a 1%er? Like every single person that says that they hate the 1%ers that didn't do, I did research. Very minimal, but question was.
A lot of people said, oh, I'm going to go there.
What I would do is, so I asked people, so I said, I looked it up and I found the magic number. And I was like, okay, I know what the boundary line is for what makes a 1%er. How much money they have to make every year to be considered a 1%er in the United States. And do you know what that number is? If you had to guess, I want you right now, if you're listening to this, I want you to think of an honest number that you think it makes you a 1%er in the United States of America, that douchebag that everybody hates because you make so much money and you're just the scum of the earth because it's not fair for the rest of us. What's that 1% number? I already told you though, right? Oh, then I can't ask you. I was trying to get a live response, but you already know the secret. So anyway, that number at that point in time was $376,000 a year. If you made over $376,000 a year, you were a 1%er. And when I immediately when I would tell that to people, when they sit there and say, how it's not fair, the 1% control everything, the 1% do this, the 1% do that, and then I ask them how much is they, everyone always thinks that a 1%er makes $1 million and up. Most of the time, they'll say that a 1%er makes $100 million or more. They think they're billionaires or something. That's the 1%. Nope. 1% is $376,000 or more. And all of a sudden they're like, well, that's still a lot of money. It's like, man, that's crazy, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, what if I told you I'm a 1%er? Like, what are you talking about? I made over $500,000 last year. Are you kidding? Nope. And what you just got done telling me over the last couple hours is how I am an asshole. I deserve to be beaten because I make more money than you, and I don't give away enough of my money, and I'm not a good person, and how I'm controlling society, and I'm this person. You just got done ranting for hours and days sometimes with people that have known me for a long period of time. And I'm like, so, and you've known me for years now, right? Like coming in here and hearing we just bullshit about whatever because we're just drunk. Now, do you think I am any of those things that you just mentioned? Like, no, man, you work your ass off all the time and everyone's taking advantage of you. You're always getting screwed over. You're always taking risks. And, well, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So you work hard. Like, you work 20 hours a day, 8 days a week. I'm like, yeah. He's like, dude, I don't know anyone that works harder than you. I'm like, nope. He's like, you're always flying. You're never home. He's like, dude, I only see you like maybe like once a month because you're never here. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, so why should I be punished? Why should all the people that work 9 to 5, 35 hours a week sometimes because they get their mandatory union breaks and all this other stuff and they got full insurance? I don't have any insurance. I mean, I pay for my own, but I don't get it. It's not part of my deal. And so why should that person that's basically coasting through life get the same level of reward as me? Or why should I, because I'm working so much harder, be punished because I'm not taking the lazy way out? Like, how does that make any sense? And that's when they sit there with just like this dumbfounded look on their face, like, I don't have an answer for it. And most of the time, though, the answer is always the same thing. Oh, but you're different. No, I'm not. I've talked to lots of people that make way more money than I do. And they're not douchebags. They're not a bunch of assholes that hate everyone, trying to fuck everybody over. Sorry, trying to mess everybody over. But a lot of them are. But you know what? A lot of these people have just said, screw it, I don't care. I care about me and my family. Because you know what? Everyone else takes advantage of me. I can't complain about that either. You know, when someone says their hustle is just only for themselves and their inner circle and F everybody else, that's their prerogative. That comes back to you, like, you're, networking and doing into subsequent business deals doesn't work out as well and things like that. But you know what? He's happy. His family's happy. His kids are going to great schools. Is it wrong? I don't know. Everyone loves the wife and the kids. They just hate the dad. So maybe dad's just taking the brunt of it. He's like, I don't care if everyone hates me. My kids are going to have great lives. So what do I care if people don't like me? It's like, wow, when you put it that way, now that I have kids, it's like, it's a whole different thing. Like, what if I mean, that's a legitimate question I should ask myself. Like, I know I could make a lot more money, a lot easier, if I went down that shady path. I wouldn't say taking advantage of people, but just not caring if it was a win-win situation. If I went into more win, you lose, oh well situations, I could make a lot more money a lot easier. A lot more. So much easier. But I have that moral thing that just stops me from, like, taking advantage of people.
What if your kids have that?
Well,
that you're... Yeah, exactly. Like, you know what I mean? You kind of let, like...
Yeah, I mean, that's just not the values I want my kids to have. But at the same time, I could easily be that person, just like, screw it, and just start make my life easier, make everyone's life a lot better, and then just tell my kids, like, look, you know what I'm doing? That's not nice. And if you can figure out how not to do it, you shouldn't. I don't have time anymore to play around. So this is the way we're doing it now. Who knows? So, it's like, who's to say they're wrong? But either way, what does his life, how is that impacting any of our lives? Like, this mythical person we're talking about that's making, let's just say, $5 million a year. What is that person doing that's making everyone else's lives so miserable that they hate them instantly without knowing who they are as a person whatsoever? Like, oh, they're a douchebag because they don't have to pay taxes when they bought a private jet. What do you care? How does that affect you? It's like, oh, it's not covering your welfare, your Medicare, your Medicaid, whichever one that is, whatever, and like your free things that you're getting from the government. It's like, oh no. It's like, please, go out and work. You know how many times I've been unemployed? I've been unemployed more than most people out there as well. Like, where I didn't have a job between gigs and things like this, and things haven't always been up. I've gone from top to bottom. Shit, just last year I was living in my dad's basement with my kids. I had no money, no jobs, no nothing. Literally nothing. I was literally living in my dad's basement after things went horribly south. But I know without a shadow of doubt that I can build myself back up again. But that's one of those things. If you take risks like I do, then sometimes those risks you lose. And then you wind up in a really crappy situation. You have to build yourself out again. So I took a risk, and I'm actually still playing that risk amazingly. It's crazy. But anyway, but and you know what it is? This just kind of goes back to that Cheerios situation. Because I came from a place where I literally had nothing, I'm not fearful of being there. I'm not afraid of being in that position because I know how to get out of it. I've done it before multiple times. I've gotten out of it. So if I'm ever in that place where like, oh man, life's just horrible, it's like I know life's going to suck for a couple years, but I also know I can get out of it. So, it's like I went from living in my dad's basement with no money, what's being 30, I'd say I was 30 grand in debt, maybe more, maybe 35, 40. And, this year, I don't know what I did last year, but I would say I had to have pulled in over 200 grand in the last 12 months. Unfortunately, it went all back to paying debts and moving and buying things and lawyers and all kinds of other fun stuff. So I have no money. I'm still broke. But it's just knowing that it's just, if I keep hustling, I'll get back up there again. It's painful. It sucks, but whatever. It just is what it is. So, but because I take those risks, that's how I get those big rewards. Like, I don't know anyone that works a 9 to 5 that's going to make $500,000 a year. I don't know anyone at that level. It's just not going to happen. And that's what I want. Like, the things I want the freedom to be able to travel whenever I want to. Like, my friend, I'm going to his funeral on Wednesday. It's in the middle of a week in Wyoming. And if I had a job, I'd have to ask for time off, and that's going to count against my days, and what if my kids are sick, and this and that, and how am I going to do it, and blah, blah, blah. I don't have to have anywhere about it. As soon as I found out of it, I just bought my ticket and I'm going. Like, that's the freedom that I love more than anything of being self-employed, is that even when things are horrible, you're still in charge. Like, you can still, but at the same time, you're in charge. So when everything fails, it's your fault. So that's always fun too. But I really don't like this whole success is being punished thing. I think it's childish. It's exactly like elementary school. It's, oh, you got the A's in school, and because I'm lazy, it's not fair. So I'm just going to make fun of you because it's easier that way. So I don't know. I can't get behind that at all. I think it's completely childish. And if you're one of those people that's making fun of rich people just because they're rich, then you don't know what you're talking about. Like, you have to. I mean, how can you honestly look at yourself in the mirror and say you're a reputable person? Like, the person you're bashing, or the people, or the group of people you're bashing, you've never met them. You've never talked to them. You've never been in their home. You've never had dinner with them. You don't know anything about them other than that they are supposedly worth a lot of money, or that their boat is big, or that they're, whatever the metric of success is that you're putting on them that you don't like, and that's the reason you don't like them. That's crazy. That's like me just saying, I hate poor people. They're all a bunch of douchebags. Like, what? You can't say that. Like, that's completely false. There are douchebags. There's rich douchebags. There's poor douchebags. But I was just saying, because people have money, their success should be taken away from them. And like, that's crazy. Completely crazy. It makes no sense. And those successful people, where do you think their money goes? And everyone likes to make fun of the trickle-down effect, but like, I don't think you understand how the economy works. Guys that create jobs, where do you think that money comes from? From the businesses that they've created. So everyone that has a job that's not self-employed, actually, I shouldn't even say that. There is no beginning. It's the whole chicken and the egg thing. But let's just say this. Everyone that has a job, you're employed because someone took a risk a long time ago and put all their money and time and effort into something, and it worked. It has built it over time and given away everything. And now that rich person that you work for, or whatever, that you hate so much, they're now receiving the benefits of all that time and loss and risk that they put in years ago for years on end. And you hate them because you didn't take that risk. You hate them because you never tried. So it's whenever I hear anyone say that they don't like someone just because they're rich or it's not fair, all I think of it, the first thing that pops in my head, that person's just a lazy ass. Like, seriously, like, they just don't want to take the risk. They don't want to put the time in, whatever it is. And instead, it's just easier just to make fun of them or just say you don't like them, even though you don't know anything about them. It just shows how ignorant you are. And I really want to, I'd love to get a conversation with someone that disagrees with me, so we could actually go back and forth and hear a little bit more arguments. Right now, I'm just going off of things I've talked in the past, but I think you can pretty much see where I'm going with this, though. I think I've kind of beaten this horse to death, so I'll let this one go. So I think this is going to be a good spot to end up the podcast. I'm officially sober, and my mouth desires some water. So I'm going to let you guys go. It was fun talking to you again. I'll see you later. This is Adam with Art of the Hustler.
Bye.
Peace. See ya. I don't know how to stop this thing.